Hey, what's going on YouTube? Well, today it's finally time to make a new stand. So yesterday I opened up my stand here to install my skimmer, and I noticed there was about a half an inch of water down here just sitting in the stand. And it was because of this left bulkhead here. Okay, yeah, we're good. So right here it was pretty much just dripping water just a little bit. And the only reason I noticed that it was leaking was because under the stand, now you're not gonna be able to see it, just kind of how it reflects. I'm sorry, not under the stand, but under my sump here, I saw it kind of looked like water was underneath there, and I was like, hey, what the hell, this ain't normal. So I checked it out. Sure enough, put my hand there, and there was water. So I'm just gonna go ahead and take the steps to go ahead and start making a new stand. This one was just made out of plywood. So I'm going to go ahead and do a 2x4 frame, and then I'm going to shell it with some plywood. It's not really going to be the most nicest stand that I've ever made. I just really need it just to serve a purpose to, not allow this tank to pretty much fall and crash and, go down to my neighbor downstairs, because I am in an apartment. This is my trusty table saw here. It's a little kind of scary cutting the 8-foot 2x4s at first. So I went ahead and called up my dad and said, hey, look, can you come over and help me hold one side? That way I can, at least get these things cut in half. And then that way, once they're 4-foot, I can manage them more easily, because I don't have a table on that side or that side, obviously, to support the weight of it. So once I was actually cutting them, it was kind of bowing in the middle. And then that blade shot back at me, a few times. Or not the blade, but the blade made the 2x4 shot back at me a couple times. And it was a little freaky. It was a little scary. Basically, the plan is to make a stand. These are the actual pieces that are going to be from up to down. I don't know what you call that. But it's going to be 40 inches tall. So those are 40 inches. These are 28. That's going to be 28 inches wide. These four right here. 2 for the bottom, 2 for the top. And then these are 21 inches. It's going to be front to back. So it's going to be, basically the shell is going to be 40 inches by 28 inches by 24 inches. And I know these are 21, but these are going to be inside, and they compensate for the 28 inch pieces. So it'll technically make those 24. And if you want to see my creative design here, there we go. That took all about 20 minutes to figure out and think of, and there's my little list that I got at Lowe's. They didn't have the 27-gallon totes, they just had a 40-gallon tote. So I went ahead and got that. Here's just some extra 2x4s I got just in case, because you never know if you mess up or not. So yeah, here's the 40-gallon tote. They didn't have a lid, so I was kind of upset, but it is what it is. It's just gonna serve a purpose for me to put some water in, put the rocks, and then I'm gonna put the fish in 5-gallon buckets. And I got 2 5-gallon buckets here. Yep, there they go. They're actually separating. Wow. And I got 2 5-gallon buckets. And the screws I got, pretty decent screws. They've got the little star head there instead of the Phillips head, so hopefully these don't strip out. And all the tools here. Got a couple drills. As you can see, I like Ryobi. I mean, one, it's cheap, but I don't really do a lot of woodworking stuff. I mean, just aquarium related stuff. So I mean, it's fine for me. That's the cover for my saw. I had to saw a few 2x4s, decent level. I was just using that just to mark the wood so I know where to cut it. that little angle. Wood glue just in case I need it. Bits for the screws and drill bits. Because what I like to do is where I'm going to put a screw, I like to pre-drill it first. That way it's easier to go in, and that way it won't crack your wood. So after I got done screwing together the base and the top here, I went to screw the bottom two, or I guess the side two supports here, the tall ones, or not really even supports, I don't know what you call them, but the tall pieces here. I went to screw those in, then I went to flip it over to do these other two, and as you saw, part of it just fell apart. And the reason why it did that was I was actually using the wrong size screws. So when I originally calculated this, I was just going to do like a 2x4 shell and use the 2-inch screws to screw in the plywood from the inside. That way you wouldn't see any kind of screws on the outside. However, I did not calculate that I'd be doing 2x4s into 2x4s, and so you need at least 2 3/4, I mean maybe 2 1/2, but 2 3/4 just to be safe. So now I'm having to go all the way around everywhere that I screwed in the 2-inch ones, take the screws out and replace them with the 2 3/4. I've already done that on these tall supports here. Now I just need to go all the way around and do it on the bottom and the top, and the frame will be done. Alright, so the stand is done. Well, I guess the shell, I guess you can say, is done. I put these supports like this on the top here, these couple of supports here, because the tank has a overflow that is drilled from the bottom, and I'm going to need to be able to get into it right here in case I need to tighten up the bulkheads or loosen the bulkheads for whatever reason. So that's why I didn't put one, you know, closer to the left and right or whatever like I did the bottom here, because I wanted to be able to access it. And the bottom, you just got two pretty much in the middle. I'm going to have plywood on the top of the bottom there, as well as plywood on the top of here before I set the tank on here. Well, I'll still need to actually add the real supports, which are going to be right here. So basically from here all the way up to the top here, and I'm going to do that on all 4 sides. I'm not sure if I'm going to add 4 or if I'm going to add 8. I may actually just add 8, just because why not? It'll actually add more strength to the stand. Then once I get the actual supports on there, I'm going to go ahead and get some plywood. I want to get some pretty nice plywood, but I'm just not sure yet. Got some new plywood, finally. Thankfully Lowe's cut it for me, so that was definitely a lifesaver. And last but not least, the support braces that will actually hold the weight of the tank. So I've got everything cut for this tank. I got all the 4 sides. I got the braces that will actually hold up the tank. I'm still going to need to cut the bottom part of the tank, because I want the stand to actually sit on plywood, as well as the top part, so the tank will sit on that plywood. But I've got plenty of scrap pieces. I mean, all of these are scrap. So I'll just cut the top and the bottom out of these biggest pieces here, which are right here. So it'll work. We'll eventually get it done. Hoping I'll get it done and knocked out within the next 2 or 3 days or so. Alright, so I got 2 out of the 4 pieces of plywood on. I'm about to put this on right here, and then once I put this on, I need to go buy a couple, or I guess 3 hinges, maybe even 4, I don't know, because this front door, I mean, this front door is pretty huge, and I don't know if 2 hinges will be enough to actually hold up the door. So Anyways, once I get this on here, this is flush right now. I just have it test fitted. Once I get this on, then I'm gonna get the hinges and mount them up right here. Put the door on, and then this thing should pretty much be skinned all the way around. Still gonna have to cut, I don't know if you can see that, but I'm gonna have to cut the bottom part here where the sump will sit on, as well as, oh, I'm gonna stab myself there. As well as the top right here, because I mean, you just go straight down. I have 2 support beams right here, so I mean the tank is going to be okay either way, but I'm still going to put a flat piece up here. So yeah, let's go ahead and put this little side panel on, and then that'll pretty much be it for now until I get the hinges. Alright, so now we've got the top and the bottom plate cut. So now we're just going to install it. And all that's left to do after that is do the door. And I definitely want to make sure that no screws penetrate through the top here, because the tank's going to be sitting on here. I mean, I'm going to have a, I don't know if it's going to be a yoga mat or what it's going to be, but I'm going to have something on top of here. That way the tank is just cushioned, I guess you can say. So I'm going to recess these just a little bit, probably about 1/8 of an inch. There we go. And for this top here, I'm just using the 2-inch nails. They're number 8 2-inch nails. And they're the, I'm sorry, not nails, screws. They're the premium screws. They've got like a T20 star kind of bit on there. And they've got a nice exterior coating on them, like a bronze coating. Top is done. Now I've got the bottom piece, and I need to go ahead and cut out these corners here so I can install it in there. And I'm going to go ahead and do that with a handsaw. So I'll see you here in a minute once that's done. Alright, so I got the bottom panel that's going there. I got the corners all measured out to how I'm going to cut them. So the line is where I'm going to cut, obviously. And this is definitely going to be the most tedious process, because we get to use these little saws here, these hand saws. Huh, well, I didn't think of that. Nice. Well, so my saw only goes this deep, and some of these I need to cut, you know, way past how deep this is. And also, this thing it's really loud. And I'm living in an apartment, so, and I'm upstairs, so I know the people downstairs are probably not appreciating this noise. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the table saw tomorrow in my lunchtime, because I work from home. So I'm going to use the table saw during lunch just to kind of notch all these out, and I should have it done hopefully 20-30 minutes or so at the most. The bulk of the time is just going to take, you know, just adjusting the table saw to get these precise cuts. So it's 8 cuts. So each one is just a little bit different. So it is what it is, but it'll definitely be easier, way easier than doing this for the next 3 hours. I guess I didn't really quite think that through. And I don't have a Dremel. I don't have a what is that saw? I don't have a skill saw either, so I'm just going to use a table saw tomorrow and get it done. And the cat agrees. Okay, just to update you real quick here. I went ahead and cut the plywood for the sump, as well as I added these 2x4s here in all corners, so I can go ahead and make this watertight, as well as I'm going to watertight the outside as well, probably up to about a foot, because I mean if anything drips past that, I'm going to be in more trouble than what the water sealer I'm going to use is going to be able to help me with. And I'm going to use, I believe it's Dry Lock Extreme, that's the name of it. Now we are actually about to jigsaw out the overflow box right here. I picked up this Craftsman jigsaw yesterday at Lowe's for, I believe it was 49 bucks. Also got a 2-year warranty for like $7, so it's definitely worth it. So I basically measured the overflow on the tank there, because this is where the tank's gonna sit on. Drew out the pattern there, and then I went ahead and drilled all these holes here because I want to follow this guide as straight as possible. You know, I mean, some people just do one and they kind of go and then go and then go, but as you're going, and then if you're going to make that angle right there, or that turn, I want it to be a sharp turn. I don't want it to be kind of like a real soft turn. So that's why I'm drilling these many holes. I'm gonna go as far as I can, stop, start there, go, and then just kind of clean it up once I'm completely done drilling, or I'm sorry, not drilling, but jigsawing everything out. Alright, so that plan didn't really quite work out. I only have a limited amount of time to do this because I'm on my lunch break, so I'm just going to kind of do the best that I can to kind of clean this up. And it's pretty hard too, actually seeing this, because all this dust is kind of in your face, so I'm just going to do the best I can. Just like that, we're done. It's a little ugly, but it'll do. And I'm sure my neighbors are pissed at me because I'm doing this in my apartment. I'm going to go ahead and sand this down to make it smoother. I mean, you're not going to really see this anyways because the tank's going to be sitting on it. But I don't want these little, ow, crap. I don't want these little splinters or, you know, these little edges here to make any kind of impression on the tank and then potentially crack the tank. So I went ahead and cut out some of this neoprene type stuff that goes in toolboxes. Cut it out specifically to the size of the aquarium. So this is the top part here. And I also cut out the area where the overflow is going to go, as well as cut out the part for the sump here. Now, all we pretty much have to do is mount the door, which is behind here. This is just where the wood is. It's not where the door is going to be, obviously. All we got to do is mount the door, and I'm waiting for my jig to come in so I can mount the concealed door hinges, and then we have to waterproof it and paint it. The items I'm going to use to waterproof it and paint it are this Dry Lock Extreme. I'm going to use this Rust-Oleum afterwards to paint the entire stand inside and out. And here's just a little cheap 4-inch roller brush, as well as just your normal brushes. And some tape, because I'm going to tape off the edges of the plywood, because I'm actually going to add some of that white banding, that I guess it's melamine banding, so it has like a more decent look to it. I just finished up doing the wood filler. You can see all these spots here. I actually ordered this wood filler and I thought it was white, but it was actually a red oak color. I went ahead and tested this right here. You can see I filled it with the red oak wood filler, and then I painted over it. you can kind of see this little area right here is a little wider than the cabinet. That's because I only painted this area right there, but once I get everything all painted up in the same color, it should blend in pretty well. So that's why I went ahead and did the whole stand, you know, with this wood filler and didn't buy a different color. And this is pretty much all of where the screw holes are. And right here, if it'll focus, you can kind of see there's a strip there. So I accidentally measured this piece wrong, and I measured it just a little bit short. So I filled that in right there with the wood filler, and then once I paint over it, you can still see the crack a little bit, but once the wood filler is sanded down and it's painted over, you're not going to be able to tell that that was even an extra piece that I added on there. Went ahead and did all this right here because I want to make sure that there's no big holes where water can get through. I didn't do the outside back here. I don't anticipate water getting back there, but it's pretty sealed. So the actual sealer that I have, that Dry Lock Extreme, will be fine, you know, to seal up this right here. So, but some of this, there was, you know, 1/8 of an inch holes, 1/4 of an inch holes, and the Dry Lock was not gonna seal that. So I went ahead and filled that with the wood filler as well. Next step is to sand this all down, get the wood filler nice and flat to the cabinet, and then put the Dry Lock on there and paint it, and then it's done. Well, also install the door hinges and the door. I'm going to show you how to install these concealed door hinges on your aquarium cabinet. Some of the things you're going to need, obviously you're going to need your hinges. There's a lot of different styles and sizes on these, so just pick the ones you like. And as long as you get this jig here, this is a jig by Craig. It's a concealed door hinge jig. As long as you have this, you'll pretty much be able to install any kind of hinges you want. You're going to need a pencil, a flathead screwdriver, a hammer, 2 clamps. You don't necessarily need 2 drills, but you are going to need 1 drill that's pretty powerful. I'm using my other drill for a drill bit, and I'm using my main drill to actually use this jig here. And you're going to need a tape measure, as well as a flat surface. I actually use these 2 pieces as a flat surface because I'm on carpet, I'm not on hardwood, so it's going to be a little more difficult to get everything lined up properly. And I suggest before you start this, you get a couple pieces of scrap wood and practice on it, because as you can see, the first time I made this, it wasn't exactly where I wanted it, but the second time, and then, you know, the last hole, everything was lined up perfectly. And last but not least, your door, as well as your aquarium cabinet. So let's get started. One last thing I forgot to mention that you will need is a vacuum. Now, it's not necessary, but it will make cleanup so much easier. So the very first thing you're going to want to do is measure your aquarium door and see where you want to put these hinges at. For example, on my tank, I have measured it to 6 inches right here, because I have a wooden plywood piece that goes down pretty much to about 6 inches. I mean, it's roughly about 5 inches, but I'm giving it about 1 inch space. So I don't want to put anything here because the door is not going to be able to shut. So I marked it to 6 inches. And then once I had this lined up, what I did to test it to figure out exactly where this was, because once you add this on here, you're not going to be able to see where your 6 inch mark is. So what I did, took a measuring tape, measured it. There's 6 inches. Put a little mark there. Then I put my pencil right here. You can use any kind of straight edge or anything. Put it right there so I know I don't want anything to go on this side of the pencil. And what I mean by that is I put the piece on here. I grabbed my hinge that I'm using, and I know it goes in these last 2 little holes. That's where it's going to line up, just because I tested it on some other test pieces. So I put it right here, lined it up to these 2 holes. I'm not sure if exactly you can see that, but they are lined up. Held it in place here. And so I want this to be below 6 inches. So what I did was, let me line that back up. So I moved this to right about there, and that is right below where that pencil is. And that is pretty much lined up right where my mark is. I mean, it's a little off right now because I wanted you to see this mark, but it is right there where that mark is. So that's the first thing you need to do. Next, where your mark is, we're going to put our jig here. And how this jig works, you've got kind of just a few pieces here. You've got the main plastic part. You've got this piece right here. It actually clicks in there and it snaps in, so your drill bit here will go straight down. It's not going to go at an angle. Then you have the actual drill bit itself. I forget what this kind of bit is called. I can't think of it. I'll put it on the screen. But all this comes with this kit here that you see. Everything here comes with it. And it also has this little ring here that you slip on here. You tighten it down with an Allen wrench. That way you can't go further than how deep your plywood panel is. For example, this one's 3/4 inch. This will not go deeper than 3/4 inch, even with this little nipple right here. So now I'm going to place it right here. I'm going to go ahead and clamp it. Okay, one more thing I forgot to tell you. You've got these little adjustments here. So they've got numbers on them. You've got, where is it at here? Yeah, you got 3, 4, 5, and 6. So as you turn it, you'll go to a different number. And what that is doing is, this little shape here, it's actually putting, this determines how much distance is from here to the edge of your shelf, or I'm sorry, your door. So I'm actually using number 3, which is on right now. This is number 3 as well. And there's a little guide right here. You're probably not going to be able to see it, but number 3 is an 1/8 of an inch gap. Number 4 is 5/32. Number 5 is number 5 is 3/16. And number 6 is 1/4 inch. And what that is saying is your hinge right here, this little circle part, it's going to be either an 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch away, however far you adjust it. And this jig will do it for you automatically. Okay, so I actually don't keep it on number 3, I put it on number 4. Yep, so number 4 is 5/32. So I'm going to set both of these to number 4. And you just put it where you want it, you line it up. And now I need to get my clamps, and I need to clamp this down to here because we're about to drill straight into here. And I'm checking underneath here to make sure that where I have this at, this number 4, it's pressing directly against the edge of the plywood here. So we are all good. And I'm lined up right here where I want to be. So I'm going to tighten them down, clamp them down good. We need to hook this up to the drill. Here's my drill. It's got like a groove in here. There's like 3 little missing spaces. I'm just clicking it down here and I'm twisting it and it'll lock. Now that I have the drill attached, I'm going to turn on the vacuum. That way it can suck up all the wood chips that this is about to create. Now you don't want to remove the jig yet. What you want to do is drill your 2 little pilot holes for your screws. So this is what I got my other drill for. I pretty much got the smallest drill bit that I have. And you just want to drill about 1/2 inch. There we go. Now we can remove the jig. And we got a nice, clean, smooth hole right here. And if you want to, check the bottom. And nothing went through. So that's good. So now let's go ahead and install our hinge. Whenever you're installing this, you want to make sure that it is straight. And I can just kind of eyeball it here. It is right on the money, straight. So this particular kit comes with 3 screws. You got 2 small ones and 1 big one. The big one is for installing it right here whenever you install it on your cabinet. And the 2 small screws are for right here so you can install it to your door. Whenever you're putting these in, you don't want to go too deep because you don't want to strip these screws out. There we go. So it has a little hang up right here, but that's okay. It'll wear itself down in time. What I probably should have did on this jig, instead of doing number 4, I should have probably did number 3. Which is the 1/8 of an inch gap, and it would have brought this just a little bit closer to the edge here, and then it would not have stuck. Not all hinges actually have these little, I don't know what they're really called, but these little prongs. Not all of them have it, but my particular one does. And if you notice, this hinge here actually doesn't close all the way, but then it goes really slow at the very end. And this is called a slow closing hinge. If I didn't want it to close like this, where it's going really slow, there's a little switch right there. You just click it up. Oh, it's already clicked up. So you just click it down, and then it will turn off the slow closing feature. It'll just snap all the way, just like it did there. And there we have it. We have all 3 hinges installed on our door. So I've got these 2 pieces of wood set under my aquarium stand. This is actually the door, the side of the door, so the door is gonna open and close like this. So let me go ahead and grab the door. And you want to make sure to line it up properly. And so as you can see, it's completely flush against the side of the cabinet here. I'm going to grab the hammer. And on this particular hinge here, it has a few prongs back here. So I'm just going to set this on the inside of the cabinet here. And I'm going to use my hammer and tap it. And it's going to lock these prongs in place right there. Okay, now they are flush against the cabinet. We can go ahead and drill our pilot holes in each one of these right here and put our screws in, and that's pretty much it. The door is installed, and when you shut it, it's got that slow closing feature. Love it. So on mine, I had to make a few adjustments. Your hinge may be just a little different, but when I unscrewed this one right here and then I tightened this one up, it actually push the whole door out a little bit because my gap was not wide enough. This part of the door was actually rubbing, so I had to push this out as far as I could, and that fixed my issue. So there you have it. That's how to install these hinges and a door on your aquarium cabinet. So after we got the door on and everything, went ahead and painted it, got it all set up again, and as you can see, I've got a wood floor now. Well, actually, I've got a whole new house. So this project started back in November of 2020, and today it's actually June 2021. So it's been quite a while in the making of this video. Moving into a house, all that good stuff, it's just a whole long ordeal. Anyways, take you out the tripod here. Got the stand done, painted. Got the little strips of melamine on there. It's not a perfect stand, but hey, it's, you know, it works for me. I'm happy with it. Not fully complete with everything yet, still. There's the inside. And there's the sump, not quite done plumbing that yet, but yeah, we're getting there. A lot of house chores actually come first before this. And once again, I'm dealing with the dreaded dinos. So that's always a fun battle. But yeah, just wanted to give you a quick end to this video here. Appreciate you guys watching. If you like this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up down below, and if you didn't, go ahead and press that thumbs down button. It helps me to, you know, let me know what you guys like, what you guys don't like. If you want to subscribe, go ahead and subscribe. Talk to you guys later.